Hi, my name is Jonathan Hop. This is 10 Minute Go, and today we're going to learn some basic standard sequences, otherwise known as joseki in Japanese. Right, the timer starts now. Alright, so what's a standard sequence in Go? Standard sequence in Go is basically like a corner position or a side position that you're going to see a lot. Alright, a lot of these sequences I'm going to teach you today are ones you can use, in the next game that you play. You'll see them a lot in professional games, high-level amateur games, and these are the basic ones that I think every Go player should just basically know. If you know them, you know how to play them, you can use them in your games, all right? And also studying them gives you some basic tactics. The first one we're going to learn is when black starts off in the 3-4 point, all right? So we have R16 up in the upper right, and if black gets its second move, let's say white plays here, black gets a second move, he can make this corner enclosure. The Japanese word for that is shimari, okay? Corner enclosure, all right? So that means that this area, behind the black stone, all this little box here is, of course, black's for the time being. Now, this is pretty much an awesome move for black because if you think about it, after you make a quarter enclosure, later on you can make wings like this. So now you can extend down the side, and now you have your castle, right, your stronghold, and then you have your extensions along the side. That's pretty good for black. Let's say you're white and you don't really want black to get that corner enclosure. Then you can think about what's called an approach move, okay? A approaches black, B approaches black. These are close. This is a one-space approach. A would be the low approach, B would be the high approach. C and D are two-space approaches, all right? They're also perfectly fine. They're just used in different circumstances. Today I want to talk about the high approach at B, all right? This is basically saying you would use this kind of move, for example, if you had a white stone helping, right? So remember, now that we're on the big board, we can't just think about the local area. All right, a lot of times beginning players, they think too much about the local fighting. You need to think about the whole side of the board. We have a stone here and a stone here, so that way this stone is helping the other stone all the way across the board. Let's look at the standard sequence first. Okay, so here black says, well, wait a second. I want territory. I want points. I'm going to attach beneath your stone. I'm going to touch your stone. The point, if I touch someone's stone, remember from the fighting video, that if I take away a liberty, if I get another move, I'm going to start really making your stone weak. All right, so what white needs to do is white either needs to add liberties or fight back, basically. So usually when your opponent attaches you hane, right? Hane is this way you bend around, or you can extend. Okay, in this case, I think the hane makes more sense. The reason is if you extend, yes, you get more liberties, but then black can continue to come under and see all the territory he's making along the side. Right? We want to kind of stop him, right? The hane blocks black into the side. Now we've got this stone here, which only has two liberties, the P17 stone. I'll mark that off. Uno, dos. Okay, only two liberties, so this stone's in danger. So I'm going to add liberties to it. I'm going to pull back. Now these two stones are connected, and this is diagonally connected. If white tries to push, I connect. So I'm going to say that all black stones are firmly connected. Now, white has a cutting point at 016, and he needs to fill it in. There's two ways to fill it in, all right? Pause the video and think about it. What are the two different ways you could fill in this weakness here? Okay, if you want to directly fill, that makes sense, all right? You can't cut me because all my stones are perfectly connected. You also could do the tiger's mouth, all right? The reason being is that black is not going to play 016 because he dies. All right, so those are two ways to protect the cut. Let's talk about this first. Now, black has these three stones and he has the corner, and that's really awesome. The next move in the standard sequence is to play this. The reason for this R14 move is very simple. No, black's not going to die. Remember, we need 4 spaces in the corner to live, and we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We have a lot of space in the upper right corner to live. I'm not concerned about living. I'm concerned about having to play second line moves. So we might get something like this. Let's say black plays it somewhere else. White has the attachment like I just showed you. White will attach here. And it becomes very difficult for black. So here we have the Atari at S16 and the Atari at R17. We need to protect that. Okay, we don't want to be stuck with those Ataris. Alright, so we connect. And then now look what's happening. These two black stones are on the second line. How many points are they making? 2 points, 1 point per stone. That's really not that great. Those stones, again, we were already alive, so we're not really worried about living. We just want to make sure our stones can be more efficient. Here, I have this stone, I'm making way more points, right? Compare the amount of points you're making with this shape to the shape I showed you where white's pushing black down. Okay, we go all the way over to that. Now you see that black is making far less points than if he had just played the standard sequence. So this move, R14, is not about living or dying, it's about making sure that your stones are not pushed down too low. Now, we have another thing to do. White O17, does it have enough eye space to live? That's a big question. All right, pause the video and think about it. It would be very, very hard on white if black were to squeeze him. So what white can do is white can simply extend along the side like this. Now he makes what's called eye space. We talked about that when we talked about life or death. This is his eye space. This is where he can make two eyes if he is completely surrounded. This is white's territory. Okay, we want to extend away from our stones. Usually there's a rule of thumb, you're trying to figure out how far to extend. Okay, what we say is 2 space wall, 3 space jump. 2 space wall, the wall here is two stones, 3 space jump. 1, 2, 3. Alright? That's for efficiency's sake. Alright? We don't want our soldiers too far away from their base. We don't want them too close. They're not being efficient. So this is actually pretty good for white. Alright? So this is even, about. Okay? What a standard sequence results in most of the time is an even situation, one where white and black come out pretty much okay, both sides. No one's dying, no one has really low stones that are inefficient, no one's in danger. They're basically just about even result. Now, there's other choices for white. If white plays this, then black will still play this, because we still have the problem where white might attach here and then seal black in along the side, and that'd be kind of troublesome. So black can play here. Now, instead of playing here, I mean, you could play here. I mean, I wouldn't, deride you if you did. But normally, you would play 1 space further because this stone is here and not here. Okay? So you might be thinking to yourself, Jonathan, this is like, who cares, right? Like, who cares if I play this? Like, I'm not gonna die or anything. No, you're not dead. You're just as alive as you were. But, if you can earn $10 and you say, no, boss, I went into work today, I earned $10, but couldn't you just give me 9? I think your boss will think you're pretty strange. If you earn $10 and you go to get your paycheck and you get $10, if you here, it's like basically saying, I earned $10, I get my $10. Here, you're just basically saying, no, just keep the dollar. I really don't need it. Right? So you want to make sure you're playing your stones far away enough to where they're efficient, but not so far they're weak. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, wait a second. Oops, let me connect. Why does white have to play anything up at the top at all? Who cares? Why are we extending? It doesn't matter, right? Like, these 3 stones have so many liberties. Let's play elsewhere. If white plays elsewhere, black is going to attack white. Okay, this is called a pincer move, all right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to place a stone where white would otherwise extend. Now white's eye space is severely limited, all right? His eye space is going to be very severely limited. If you try to directly defend, okay, like this, then what you might basically just live, but now black is getting this nice wall, and you are not getting very many points. All right, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stones for a very, very narrow space. So you don't really want to be attacked. No, you're not going to die. All right, you're probably not going to die with these stones, but the more stones you play that don't make points, the further away you are from winning. Alright, well, this is one of the basic standard sequences, and it kind of shows you a couple main points. Number 1, close quarters fighting. Count your liberties, alright? Protect stones that are low on liberties, unless you're going to sacrifice them. Then, if you have cutting points, defend your cutting points. You can directly defend, or you can try tiger's mouth, okay? If you want to try some funky stuff like this, where like a ladder, if black cuts, then you ladder him, then I say go for it, but, just be kind of careful with these kind of moves, alright? After we cut, we have to make sure we do not get sealed in by our opponent, because if we get sealed in, then we're very unhappy. And make sure you extend 2 stone wall, 3 space jump, all right, for the maximum level of efficiency. So it looks like in this one standard sequence, we learn a lot of the basic tactics of Go, and again, this is a very basic standard sequence, and you should try it out in your games. You can go to pro games, you can see it being played all the time. All right, well, that was our lesson today. I'll see you next time.